Greetings everyone, good evening, and welcome to the fourth session of Discourses with Dr. Vladimir. Before we open the session, have a moment's silence, please. Greetings everyone. Yesterday we looked at Sankhya, and today I understand we're looking at the faculties of consciousness of the Gita. Is that right, Vladimir?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
We look into the Gita's constitution of the text and how Gita approaches it, yes.
So over to you, sir.
Right, thank you. So, as you remember, we mentioned that Sri Aurobindo speaks about this in his overview of Indian culture, the foundations of Indian culture, that there were four major syntheses of knowledge. That was Veda, Upanishads, Gita, and Tantra. Now we arrived at the Gita's formation. And Gita in some way is a unique formation, as you know, yes? Because first of all, it is a part of Mahabharata, which is the biggest epic literature ever created in human history. There are 18 volumes, huge volumes, yeah? Like 120,000, 124,000 verses. It's a huge number. And it is very rich. And as you know, everybody loves Mahabharata, all the stories about Pandavas and Kauravas and their relations, Draupadi, Karna, all these great heroes, Bhishma, they are all in the memories of Hindus. And of course, there is Krishna in between, doing all his mischievous kind of work. And Gita is standing out from all this kind of Vedic, Upanishadic, and even Tantric tradition. It has its own approach to the vision of synthesis of knowledge. It has its own origin, as it were, which is as ancient as Vedic. By the way, Krishna is also mentioned in the Vedic literature. He was a student of Ghora Angirasa Rishi. And it is mentioned in Chandogya that Krishna, son of Devaki, even that we should know who he was, and not some other Krishna, but exactly this one, was the disciple of the Ghora Angirasa. And so it means he has his Vedic origin, as it were. Though we put this literature to the 500 BC, period of 500 BC, I think it is much older in a way. It belongs to some kind of Vedic time, beginning of Kali Yuga, 3000 BC or something. You know? At least the story, at least historically, it belongs to that time. The story may be written later. So what is unique about the Gita is that it introduces Karma Yoga. And Karma Yoga is something which was not expected in the system of Upanishadic or Vedic, so to say, vision, because it was in the Vedas it was seen as sacrifice, as the process of surrendering everything to the higher forces of consciousness. And in the Gita, it is recaptured or emphasized in a different fashion. As he says in the chapter 4, that he revealed this knowledge from the beginning of time to Vivasvat, and Vivasvat is the lord of the sun, and Vivasvat gave it to Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku is the first king. It's a kingly knowledge, yes, first king of the solar dynasty, and so on. So Manu to Ikshvaku, sorry, he gave it to Manu, because Manvantara has to start with Manu to Ikshvaku, and from that time on, this yoga, this secret yoga, got declined. Yoga Nashtav. It became lost in time. And now I again give it to you because you are my bhakta, says Krishna. Now, what is this karma yoga about? And it's quite interesting because at the end of our discourse, we will come to karma yoga again in the context of Auroville, yes? Because Mother, the last message to Aurovillians was, Auroville is meant for those who want to do karma yoga. Take work and do it as yoga. This is the message, and this is the secret knowledge of the Gita. We will have to look into this karma yoga section, because jnana yoga, bhakti yoga are quite clear to us, but karma yoga is very special. So, but before going into this, I have two presentations today. I have to kind of overview the structure of the text. It's important in some way. So I prepared this, the triple path of the Gita presentation. And if we look at the composition of the Gita, we will see that it has three major sections. Yeah? First section is the Karma Yoga, chapter 1 and 6. Second section, Bhakti Yoga, from 7th to 12th, another 6 chapters, other 6 chapters. And finally, Jnana Yoga, the last 6 chapters. These are called khandas, the sections. So great sections, 3 great yogas. And notice there are 18 chapters in the Gita, the same as 18 volumes in Mahabharata. Quite amazing. 666, 3 times 6, somebody says. So yeah, this is the evil number. It is the divine number, 18. So the first karma yoga deals with will, effort, action. It describes how to do properly action. Properly in a sense that it leads us to the liberation. How to be involved in nature and everyday life and do the actions in the way that they will reveal to us our hidden, our unborn self. We'll come to it in the second half of presentation. The second part is love, emotion, devotion. How to tune one's heart, how to have this approach of love towards the divine. And here in this section we have this great Vishwarupa Darshana, where Krishna reveals his cosmic nature, cosmic form to Arjuna. And the last is knowledge, comprehension, self-realization, explanation how things have to be understood, seen by the mind. So we have body, heart, and mind, notice. So it's quite interesting. Body is earth, bhakti, heart, is the space in between heaven and earth, and jnana is heaven. This is an important division of 3 parts of our being, the head, the torso, and the legs, as it were. Sri Aurobindo describes this in the essays on the Gita in this way. The first step is karma yoga, the selfless sacrifice of works, and here the Gita's insistence is on action. The second is jnana yoga, the self-realization and knowledge. So from the earth we jump to heaven, notice, because the jnana yoga is the heaven, this self-realization, the realization of unborn self. So the second step is jnana yoga, self-realization and knowledge of the true nature of the self and the world. And here the insistence is on knowledge. But the sacrifice of works continues, and the path of works becomes one with, but does not disappear into the path of knowledge. This is an important kind of distinction. It becomes one with, but does not disappear into the path of knowledge. So the action continues even when we found our unborn self. It will change its quality. It will be of a different quality, but it will be there. And the last step is bhakti yoga, adoration and seeking of the Supreme Self as the divine being. And here the insistence is on devotion. But the knowledge is not subordinated, only raised, vitalized, and fulfilled. And still the sacrifice of works continues. The double path becomes the true in way of knowledge, works, and devotion, and the fruit of the sacrifice, the one fruit still placed before the seeker, is attained: union with the divine being and oneness with the supreme divine nature. So this is the vision of the whole sacrificial action. First, the effort, the will, that karma yoga part, which leads us to realization of our unborn self. Second part, and which leads us finally to the adoration and devotion of the divine nature and divine being. This is actually explains everything to me and to every one of us, most probably, in Purna Yoga, that the bhakti part is the conclusive, it's the crown. So the question is, why then the bhakti section, the bhakti yoga, is put in the middle of the Gita? Yeah? In the previous slide I was showing you the location. So bhakti yoga is in the middle, jnana yoga is the conclusive part. By the way, this location of the parts confused many scholars. And if you read the explanations of the Western Indologists, you will understand what I mean. So they say, for example, that bhakti yoga is not so important, jnana yoga is more important. Yeah, bhakti yoga is only a transition to some knowledge, which is finally the crown of the Gita. Yeah, and I disagree totally, absolutely. I will follow rather Sri Aurobindo's explanation that bhakti yoga is the last step. And why the last? So look at this beautiful vision. So karma yoga, we start our action, we kindle the fire, and the smoke of the fire, Sri Aurobindo says in this, in the other passage, comes to heaven and kind of opens up our unborn self. And then heaven answers down to the call of the fire from below. Yeah? And that answer will generate that connection of heaven and earth, which is bhakti. Bhakti implies two things: the aspiration towards the divinity, that means psychic love, psychic flame towards the divine, and the answer from the divine, which the flame in the heart receives. And that is the love. That is the bhakti. So bhakti is the result of self-realization. Otherwise, how can we love the divine if we do not know the divine at all? It's not possible to love the divine without having a glimpse of it or something of it. So it's kind of a grace that answers. So there are two powers, as Sri Aurobindo says in the Mother. Yes. One, aspiration, and the grace that answers, which complete the whole action. So that's when the self-realization is achieved, the answer in the heart is already there. So it's this the bhakti yoga is the final crown of the whole Gita, Purna Yoga. And that's why they have Vishvarupa Darshana in the Bhakti Yoga, where Krishna reveals his universal nature. Yeah, makes sense? I hope I'm not totally radical here. Okay, so what is interesting about these three is I will just make overview from other perspectives. So if you look at the whole movement of French Revolution and American Revolution, actually American Revolution was first, French was second, it seems. So these three were announced by the Masons, by these Christian mystics, as three major realizations of humanity: liberty, equality, and fraternity. And you will find immediately, Sri Aurobindo explains this, and Napoleon, he has a very beautiful article on Napoleon, I would recommend everybody to read, about these three. Liberty is the freedom of individuals which leads to the necessity of equality of all individuals. So once you are free, liberty, that means in a way you are free to invoke, to willpower, yes, karma yoga, to do whatever you have to do there. So it will lead you in the social sense to understanding of that everybody is equally free to will, to the realization of the self, of the unborn self, from which you see and view everyone and everything as the divine. So the equality is a concept, a vision of the mind, of law of social order, viewing every member of the society as an equal member with equal possibilities. This is the foundation of socialism. If liberty is the foundation of capitalism, let us say, yeah, then equality, if it dominates the liberty of individuals, of course it becomes socialistic. If individual freedom dominates the equality of the social order, then it becomes capitalistic in a way. So there is a constant ongoing fight between the individual and social order. Sri Aurobindo describes this in the human cycle and everywhere in his social works on social approach to knowledge, sociological approach to knowledge. So fraternity, and Sri Aurobindo speaks of fraternity as that which will link both and which is most required for the reconciliation between liberty and equality. So fraternity is the feeling of love in the heart of all human beings, that psychic flame. It is by this emotion in the heart that individuals, being free, can accept the equal rights of everyone. There is no other way to accept equality, only with love in the heart. So we may understand equality, that we are all equal, as we understand nowadays in the world. Yeah. Even in capitalistic world, we all understand that we are all equal, but we cannot realize it. We need another power of love. Otherwise, without that power of love, you cannot, we may understand that we are equal, yes, but to really make it work, we need that power of love. And he says this would be the solution for just organizing the proper, perfect society. That's what all of us are looking for. You can see that there are countries where equality, so to say, equality is just when it dominates the liberty, it starts stagnating, and it is far from equality. In the Soviet Union, we had a joke that there are, in our equal society, there are people who are more equal than others. So this is the equality we were joking about. Because there is no equality, definitely. Look at Russia today. There are oligarchs, there are 100 billionaires there sitting in the parliament. So it has nothing to do with equality, though they preach equality non-stop. But liberty is the driving force of this society. Without individual liberty, without individual freedom, there is no way that society can be built properly. And Shobindu somewhere beautifully says about this, that the perfect society will be that which will care about the liberty of individuals. If there is a society which cares most about the individuals and their freedom and their achievement, creativity, that society becomes perfect. Yeah. But we don't have such societies yet. It requires fraternity. Now you can see the same framework, the same thinking. So there is an action, freedom. There is also the realization of the unborn self, seeing everybody equally as a divine, and finally the love in the heart, which is kindled by these both. So the Divine Trinity, I'm coming to this to explain this triple organization of the Gita. These are words from Sri Aurobindo. Brahmanaspati is the creator by the word. He calls light and visible cosmos out of the darkness of the inconscient ocean and speeds the formation of conscious being upward to the supreme goal. It is from this creative aspect of Brahmanaspati that the later conception of Brahma, the creator, arose. He gives this overview in The Secret of the Veda. For the upward movement of Brahaspati's formation, Rudra supplies the force. He is the violent one who begins his work upon the earth and gives effect to the sacrifice on the 5 planes of our ascent, who leads the upward evolution of the conscious being. His force battles against all evil, smites the sinner and the enemy, intolerant of defect and stumbling. So the fire is, Agni is his son. It is rising from below. It is Rudra who holds on his shoulders the whole nature, and the fire is rising. That force is needed for the word of Brahmanaspati to form it and to reach to heaven. And for the formations of Brahmanaspati's word, for the actions of Rudra's force, Vishnu supplies the necessary static elements. space, the ordered movements of the worlds, the ascending levels, the highest goal. He has taken 3 strides, and in the space created by the 3 strides, has established all the worlds. In these worlds, he, the all-pervading, dwells and gives less or greater room to the action and movements of the gods. So the gods are usually always coming to him to rectify the boons of Rudra or Shiva. Shiva is easily giving boons to anyone who wants to achieve something. And then it becomes a big trouble for all, because Shiva is Ashutosha, easily satisfied with anybody's austerity. So he gave boons to everyone, to Ravana, to be invincible. So then they have to come to Vishnu and beg him to rectify that thing. So Vishnu always comes later to rectify. But look at this beautiful arrangement. Rudra and Agni on one side, so to say, the flame from below, rising in evolutionary ascent, Vishnu from above, supporting it, yeah? And Brahman is from within the heart, the word, calling flame, invocation, which needs the force of the aspiration of nature, of fire rising from below. This is the holistic vision of the Veda, by the way. It explains everything to those who study Hinduism, by the way. The difference between Vishnu and Rudra is so fundamental, so important. When Shiva is asked, what are you meditating upon? He answers, I meditate upon Vishnu. He wants to reach to heaven because all this rising force is to heaven. And Vishnu is most probably meditating upon Rudra, wants to reach down and connect. In the Veda, these two are represented by great godheads. Agni is the son of Rudra. Yeah? All hymns to Agni are Rudra's action, actually, because he is his son. It's just flaming out. It is something which is acting already. If Rudra is the godhead which supports this action, then Agni is his action, as it were. Then Indra, on the other hand, is the action of Vishnu. Vishnu is his younger brother, that greater overmind which supports the flaming of the intuition down, of Vajra of Indra. Indra has Vajra, and Vishnu has Vajra, notice, both of them. So Vishnu stands behind Indra in heaven. Indra is bringing the lightning from above, and this lightning is piercing our darkness, kills all the enemies from above. And Rudra is rising from below with Agni. And this Indra and Agni have to meet. And there are hymns to Indragni when they meet together. Then the sacrifice is fulfilled. When Vishnu and Rudra come together, then the whole movement reaches its fulfillment. But it can be done only with the help of Brahman, Brahmanaspati, Brihaspati in the Veda. Because when the flame is reaching to a certain level in the middle range between heaven and earth, in the mid-air, then it needs a direction, because this aspiration from below is for the betterment of all, as it were. It's impersonal, but the word makes it focused, makes it personal, makes it kind of directs it what it wants. Yes? So the mantra directs the aspiration of Agni, the force, towards heaven, and then it can reach heaven and then Indra can answer. I do not know whether it makes sense to you, but it's exactly what Sri Aurobindo is explaining in The Secret of the Veda, these three different movements, why the rishis are the sons of Brahmanaspati or Brihaspati, because these are the formations in the word, in the intention of the heart to direct the force towards heaven. And then the union can take place. Again, we have something of the kind which can explain where the Gita is coming from with these three sections. Here they are in the Veda. They are also in Puranas, these three great deities of Puranas, of yes, Brihaspati, of Shiva and Vishnu. Yes, I just explained this. We don't need to go. Now I want to come to the Rig Veda, the last hymn of the Rig Veda, the hymn of message to humanity. I will not read the whole hymn, only 2 verses. The second verse and the last one. Only 4 verses in the hymn. Samgachatvam, go together. Samvadadvam, speak together. Samvo manansi janatam, may your minds agree together. Deva bhagam yatha purve sanjanana upasate, as the first gods sat together, agreeing to take a portion of the work or sacrifice in the creation. The same you, this is the message to humanity. Go together, speak together, think together. Let us say like this, simplify. And the last verse, Samani va akutih, samana hridayani vaha, samanam astu vomano yatha bhaksu sahasati. May your will in the body be uniting. May your aspirations of the heart be uniting. May your mind be uniting, as in your common well-being together. These are the last words of the Veda. There cannot be better message. But what is interesting is that these 3 portions go together, speak together, think together. Again, the same formation of the action, movement, the magic structure of consciousness, if we take Gebserian language, speak together the heart, because the mythical structure is revealing the word, the myth. And then may your minds be together. So we have the 3 levels, the will, the heart, and the mind. And especially the last verse is making it very clear. So may your will in the body be uniting. May your aspiration in the heart be uniting instead of the word. And may your mind be uniting. So the Vedas are associating the word with the heart, which is the Vedic vision. Yeah, Brahmanaspati is rising. Brahman is the mantra rising from the heart, from the ocean heart. Okay, I will stop here, pause here for observations, questions. If you want to share something, please go ahead. And then we will continue into Karma Yoga section and see what is unique about it. You can take your time to formulate your thoughts. These are such huge, realms of thinking.
you maybe elaborate a bit on the Indra part of the explanation?
Indra. Right. Did we see the mother's picture from the Huta? I was mentioning this, the yellow, the level of the intuitive mind, and the blue level of the illumined mind. So when we rise to the top of our being, we spoke about this in the Vedic form. Yeah? So this mental mind, as it were, this is the top, the 9 levels, yeah? Navagva Rishis. Then they call to Ayasya Rishi to bring Indra down. So the 10th, they become the Dashagva Rishis, the Rishis of 10 rays. So the 10th one comes from above the 9. Yeah? So the 9 is Sahasrara, it's here already, but the 10th is above Sahasrara. It is that lightning which pierces, which breaks our ceiling and brings the light of the overmind of Vishnu into action. That is Indra. Without that light, without that connection to the transcendental, not much can be done here. Yeah? Even enemies, the real enemies in the darkness, cannot be destroyed. And it is Indra who destroys the Vala. The Vala is the subconscious cave where all our treasures are hidden. Treasures of our spiritual perception have to be released, freed from the darkness, from that cave of darkness. You remember Cave of Wonders in Aladdin? In that cave there is all our treasures hidden in the subconscious cave. And we need Indra, we need the transcendental lightning to come and to pierce and to destroy the cave. And then all the treasures will be released. And our seemingly ordinary life changes into the spiritual. You could, did you have a chance to read the supramental sense? I sent you the link. It is an amazing thing. It's just amazing in every way. He describes how our ordinary look at the world will change with the discovery of that consciousness. So this is something of that kind, yes? When the Vala is destroyed, you see the world totally differently. And it doesn't mean that ordinary look at the world will disappear. It will be there at the same time. Only it will find totally different understanding and position. And so all the elements what we see now in our ignorant state will endure in some way. They will find their right place. They are also true. It seems we thought that everything will change, there will be another world. Yes, it will be another world, and at the same time it will be the same world. So Indra is that lightning which, as Sri Aurobindo beautifully describes in the Self of Mind. I also recommended the Self of Mind canto. Maybe I will have to look into it for you, since you asked about Indra. Do you want me to read the passage from Self of Mind where it is described the difference between our highest perception mental and Indra's lightning when it comes? What happens to us in the moment when Indra pierces our top?
We have the time.
There.
Yes, please. And I want to ask you about if there is any mantra towards Indra to bring down the intuition.
Sure. The Indra is the most invoked in the Veda. Yeah, there are more than 260 hymns. The biggest number of hymns are dedicated to Indra. Then Agni, Indra and Agni, these are the deities which are most invoked. Let me find this Savitri. This is an amazing thing. Self of mind. I'm not sure that you have time to really do your homework, so that's why I'm kind of.
Oh, it's the one in the self of mind.
Yes, in the self of mind.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that was really beautiful.
Yes, here it is. So Sri Aurobindo describes how we perceive the world when we reach to the illumined mind, and that is the self of our mind. This is the top, the mental mind in our section. And let me project. You don't see it most probably. So this is the Canto 13, Book 2. Now, when he reaches to the top of our capacity of understanding of the Sahasrara chakra opens, as it were. At last there came a bare, indifferent sky, where silence listened to the cosmic voice, but answered nothing to a million calls. You've reached that nirvanic state. The soul's endless question met with no response, total indifference. An abrupt conclusion ended eager hopes, a deep cessation in a mighty calm, a finish line on the last page of thought, and a margin and a blank of wordless peace. There paused the climbing hierarchy of worlds. He stood on a wide arc of summit space, alone with an enormous self of mind, which held all life in a corner of its vasts. Omnipotent, immobile, and aloof, in the world which sprang from it, it took no part. It gave no heed to the paeans of victory. It was indifferent to its own defeats. It heard the cry of grief and made no sign. Impartial fell its gaze on evil and good. It saw destruction come and did not move. This is the type of mind. Yeah? Everything is equal to it. Yes, and it goes on, an equal cause of things, and lonely seer and master of its multitude forms, it acted not, but bore all thoughts and deeds, the witness lord of nature's myriad acts, consenting to the movements of her force. Purusha's kind of a witness, or mental Purusha in this case. But then I will skip all this. I will come to where he says, then. Desire came not, nor any gust of will to it, yes? Yes, here it is. Then. Sri Aurobindo uses this word when he wants to shift, many times in Savitri. So his soul had peace. This is the end of the story. There he could stay, the self, the silence won. His soul had peace. It knew the cosmic whole. This is the realization of the illumined mind. Then, suddenly, a luminous finger fell. This luminous finger is that lightning of Indra, breaking our ceiling. Luminous finger fell on all things seen, or touched, or heard, or felt, and showed his mind that nothing could be known. This is the shift. Suddenly, all that he knew was nothing at all true. That must be reached, from which all knowledge comes, the supramental knowledge. The skeptic ray disrupted all that seems and smote at the very roots of thought and sense. In a universe of nescience, they have grown, aspiring towards a superconscious sun, playing in shine and rain and heavenlier skies. They never can win, however high they reach. Our all this, whatever we are here in this Navagvas shell, we cannot ever break through. We are kind of playing in shine and rain from heavenlier skies. They never can win, however high they reach, or overpass, however keen they probe. A doubt corroded even the means to think. Distrust was thrown upon mind's instruments. All that it takes for reality shining coin, proved fact, fixed inference, deduction clear, firm theory, assured significance appeared as frauds upon time's credit bank, or assets valueless in truth's treasury. And he goes on and on with this. He describes how useless all our knowledge is and all our realizations. In the light of that lightning, now you have some sense of it, what it means, Indra's lightning. So you asked about Indra.
I had to.
Right. We discussed this with you before, no? All right. So is there anything else? No? Or we move into the number 2 presentation on Karma Yoga. I'm somehow flying through that. There's so much material and I want to cover everything from the Veda to integral yoga within 6 presentations.
Vladimir,
Give a little time.
this
to
is
breathe.
so challenging, Vladimir.
Yeah.
Like on one way, you're kindling the flame and like it just reaches somewhere. And then after the session gets over, back to the reality. And how to bring both the worlds together.
Interesting question, yeah. We have to live in this. It's some kind of a new type of life, yeah. There was a period in my life when I could not even think anything but about this, yeah. Like several years in a row, thinking in the morning, in the evening, in the midday, in the night, dreaming about it, talking only about it, nothing else. Because what else you could speak here, which makes sense, yeah? Everything else becomes like a dream of some kind. Okay, yeah, we have to be practical. Yes, practical. Somebody told this to the mother, but can you give us tell us something practical? And she says, you think spirit is not practical? It's supremely practical. Only we have to take it into ourselves or something, or allow it to break through and lead our life. And we will have the same life. This is the problem of our thinking. We think that once we shift into that spiritual perception, life will change totally, and we will lose everything. Not at all. Everything will continue, but it will be differently colored and much more joyful in a way than ordinary, boring, practical life.
Integration.
Yes. Yes, this yukta. In this presentation on the Gita, I had a slide on so when these three are combined, the Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Karma Yoga, then one becomes composed. Composed in a sense that there is no more difference between one's words, feelings, thoughts, and actions of will. Can you imagine that all of them come together? That you don't need to fight, to struggle, to convince yourself to do something, because you are one. Your will, your word, your mind are working together. And this is the desired state.
Perfect harmony. Yeah.
Yeah. And they call it yukta. Yukta means composed. We translate it also as yukta, connected. Yeah? But once you are composed, you become connected to the divine. Yeah? Then there is no more difference. Then the divine connects through you easily. Because when this discrepancies, when there is this oppositions between your own members within your own kingdom, then it's much more difficult for the divine to act, your divine nature to break through, and other forces take charge of. Yeah? All forces of the vital or their lower kind, desires, they creep in, all kinds of fears and vanity of every kind, because there is in this kingdom is a disorder. So you are not one, you are not composed, you have many gaps.
Seems there are some similarities with Triguna, Mukti.
With what? I didn't understand.
Triguna,
Triguna.
Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. Sattva could be Bhakti. Tamas, I don't know, maybe Karma Yoga. And Rajas, Jnana Yoga. At the end, the equilibrium is similar.
Yeah, equilibrium is more like equality, I think. Well, it's three gunas. They are the foundation of nature. Yeah? They act. Of course, there is always a kind of resemblance, some kind of allusion of, because these gunas are also compared to tamas with Shiva for some reason, though it is very difficult to compare tamas with Shiva. He is just the fire. So all these comparisons are made in Indian literature, but I'm not sure whether they are so correct in a way. All right. Okay, so we exhausted the topic. Let's go straight to the Karma Yoga. So this is the second half of my presentation on the Gita today. Liberation through action. So in the Gita, he says, I was already mentioning this, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam. I said this, I spoke this Gita, this yoga, karma yoga, to Vivasvat, to the Lord of the Sun, this imperishable avyayam yoga. I gave to Vivasvat. Vivasvat gave to Manu, Manu to Ikshvaku. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduh sakale nehamahata yogo nashtaf parantapa. And so over time it was exhausted and was lost. Sa evaya maya tedya yoga prokta puratanah bhakto si me sakha cheti rahasyam chetat uttamam. And this yoga is given, declared from the beginning of time, is now given to you, because you are my bhakta, my friend, and I give to you this rahasyam uttamam, this highest secret. So this karma yoga is the highest secret. That what the purpose is, the meaning of it is that that we can be spiritual while acting. You remember we discussed that we can be either perceptive or active. It's very difficult for us to connect both, to be totally perceptive and to be active at the same time. It's either or. The moment we start moving, we forget, we disconnect from the inner perception. The moment we want to perceive the deeper sense, this deeper presence in us, self, we stop moving, we close our eyes, we stop breathing, we stop thinking. Yeah, because we want to reach deep into ourselves. So how is that at all possible to be active and to be perceptive? And that's why he says Rahasyam Uttamam, the highest secret, supreme secret. We take it for granted, we take it very easily, karma yoga, but karma yoga is the most amazing gift to humanity, by the way. Now, Gita has its own vision of creation. It's from the chapter 8. In 2 shlokas, the whole vision. Everything
Sorry
is laid out.
to interrupt. I
Yeah.
wanted to say something about this karma yoga
Yes,
thing.
please.
Isn't it? It's actually, I mean, I have observed in my case that no doubt that it is the best thing that has happened to humanity, but how to concentrate on yoga while doing our everyday thing. I mean, we are so engrossed in our lives that if we concentrate on this, we tend to withdraw from the society or people around. And if we focus on that part, we can't concentrate on the yoga part.
By the way, this karma yoga, though that's why he says the highest secret, it was misunderstood by many. If you read Gandhiji's explanation, or even Tilak, they take it as duty. Duty to social order, it's your duty as a father, you follow your dharma. They explain it very down to earth. Yeah? But it is something much more than just following your duty. Because following your duty, you may do it anyhow, because of fear to be judged or because of anything, as it is in Indian society. Everybody is afraid to be judged by your relatives, neighbors, and so on. So everybody behaves. You behave. Yeah? So this is not karma yoga, behavior. Just something more. There's actually you begin karma yoga with withdrawal from the fruit of action. It's a psychological freedom. We will come to it. It's in the presentation. But this withdrawal from the fruit of action, that For the action, you have the right, not for its fruit. So you are active in society. You do your duty. You go to work. Yes? But psychologically, you're not attached to the result. Psychologically, you free your inner energy from that determination. I have to get this result. Check, check, check. This mentality has to go. Check, I done. Check, done, 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 done. I see many people doing this, and they don't even value what they are doing. They just have to finish it off. And once they finished it off, they didn't even know what it was. They didn't feel it, didn't absorb it, didn't value it, didn't love it, didn't have time to deal with it. You know? Everything was check, 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 done. Efficiency is there, everything is in place. And then what? What is the result? What is the gift from this? Money is the gift. You get your salary, check, check, check salary, and then you start living. So you are not living while doing. You're living when you get your payment for your slavery. So this slavery is to go. It's so the labor should not be a curse, as it is in the Bible, you know.
So
the
that
labor
means
has
if
to
we
be a
are
blessing.
so if we are trying to get connected with the psychic being also, I think there is an expectation of the result or the fruit of the action. Maybe that is why we find it so difficult to get connected with our psychic being, because we expect at the back of our mind, maybe we expect that because we are in this path, so we will be connected with our psychic being.
Yeah. We when we do spirituality, we expect some realization. We are always expecting the result. This is the problem. This is a fundamental psychological problem of attachment to the fruit of action. And that is actually taking away our witness, our Purusha's energy into nature. Nature absorbs, takes away our self-awareness. That's how we lose it.
Vladimir, I have another doubt. Now, each one of us are at our own levels of consciousness. So, if we perform our work at at that moment, whatever highest level we can actually understand or think, can it be the truth for that moment? And can it be integral? I mean, I don't know whether I'm putting it properly.
Of course, integral, it is always integral, only we don't see it. Yes, we are not participating in this integrality because we do not have the consciousness to see that everything is here integral. Even if you go in the wrong direction, nature will readjust all the directions immediately. Yeah? It is a living organism which is readjusting every movement in somebody made somewhere movement and you are readjusting it already. Yeah. So we are all in this constant readjustment. But to be free from the fruit of action is a psychological freedom. Yeah. Yeah, I love check, check, check. Check, check, check is the way of thinking, yes? This is my list for today. Okay, this I did, this I did, this I did. Okay, so did I live at all? No, I didn't. I don't even remember what it was. Every day a full list of checking. And then what was that? What my life was about, yeah? So I totally delegate my consciousness to the action and to the result. And I think when I get the result, it is the way to live. It's not. Yeah? Psychologically, I'm not saying that we should not have a plan. I'm not saying that we should not have a check, check, check even. I'm saying psychologically, I have to be free from it. I don't say that we should not do it, should not plan.
It's very, very difficult to keep that psychological poise, though, in today's commercial environment. It's incredible. How to live this karma yoga. It's such a challenge. but it has to
It's
be
a practice. It's a practice. Yeah. One
Yeah.
has to start practicing it, practicing. Yes. Okay. Whatever the result, let us say like this, whatever the result, I'm doing the action the best I can, the most
If
perfect.
you're in a centered environment like the ashram or something like that, it's
Yeah, it's easier. It's easier.
much
Absolutely.
easier.
That's why.
Yeah, but,
Mhm.
I just because I used to work in the financial industry myself. Just
Right.
I was enslaved, to
Right.
this world, and it's incredible.
I think you said it so well, like not being attached to the outcome. That's,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Whatever the outcome, I do my
Mhm.
best.
Well,
And-
letting go of expectations.
Yeah. But expectations, yeah, you have a plan. You want to realize certain things, but the action is more important than the result. If we can re-emphasize onto the action than the result. This is the first freedom, by the way. It's only the first. There are three. Yeah. The first freedom is to emphasize the action, not the result. Once you mastered that, and you love your activity more than what is coming out, because what comes out is not really yours. It does not belong to you. It belongs to nature. It belongs to humanity. It belongs to the world. Yeah? Everything what you achieved, realized, is not your property. It does not belong to you. So this freedom from attachment to property, to copyright, to this, to that, who said this, whose idea it was. When you watch these movies, was it my idea or his? They're just wondering when they are working in this environment, competitive all the time. Who is better, who is faster, and so on and so forth, because it's all result oriented. It's very exhausting, and it kills all our life. We have nothing left at the end.
and ultra competitive as well. Yeah.
Yes. And it is all about money. You notice money substitute something. They did on one side they did a great help because they freed humanity from that hierarchy of varnas and clans, and by birth you have the right and you don't have the right or something. So they made equal human beings in some way. Yeah. But on the other side, they enslaved man and made him a slave that he can sell his labor. He doesn't like to do it, but he will do it because then he will be free. So he is not free while doing. This is the most difficult. So that's what he offers us. He offers us to be free while doing, with money or without money, doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter, because it's only psychologically that you have to be free. You will have to do it anyhow, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita. Whatever you think that you are not doing, you cannot arrive at non-doing by doing nothing, he says. You will have to do. So why not to do it in the way which is making you free, rather than to do it in the way that makes you a slave? You will have to do it. You will have to wake up, to brush your teeth. Even sitting and meditating is doing, is still doing. Yeah. Closing your eyes, doing nothing is doing. And this is something that one has to understand, that one way or another we will have to do. And nature will make us do things. Only we can be free or slave. We have to choose. It's our choice, our call. The same thing we will be doing. We will have a family, work, numbers, working with numbers, calculating them. But you can be free. or even the way of doing can lead you to freedom. First, a detachment from the fruit of action. I have it in my slides. Okay, I skip this vision of creation, which is kind of important, but here it is. Karmanyevadhikar ma phaleshu kadachana. Somebody speaks, yeah? Wants to say? Joel? Or somebody else? No? Okay, I thought somebody was saying something. Karmanyevadhikaras ma phaleshu kadachana. Ma karma phala hetur bhur. Mate sangostva karmani. Thou hast right to action, but not only to action, never to its fruit, but only to action, never to its fruit. Let not the fruits of thy works be thy motive. The fruit of action is not your motive of action. This is something also very helpful to think of. You know? Neither let there be in thee any attachment to inactivity. This idea of inactivity is the wrong idea. There is no inactivity. It's impossible. So we think always that, oh, I'm working so hard, so much labor. Yes, did you notice labor is the heavy word, yeah? Where you have to sweat, and you have to spend your energy unwillingly, and then you have to get the reward for your labor. This idea of reward, you know, this is all fruit-oriented thinking. It is through all the history of human kind of history we have it. But that's why he says this is the secret supreme, because it tells you something totally different, that you can't be inactive. Seeking inactivity is a wrong seeking. You have to seek something else. Yourself, not inactivity. You cannot arrive at inactivity by being inactive. You need to be active to arrive at yourself. But how? And that is there. So fruit of action has to go. It should not be your motive of your activity. There has to be other motive of self-finding, of learning. The action has to become educational. I want to learn something. I want to discover something. That sense of creativity could be a motive. I'm just explaining it to myself this way.
Nowadays, there is another leverage system through the data. It's not only money, now it's data. Data, followers, statistics, the press is so hard. Yeah. But I think it's the same. There are fruits. Are the fruits, or money or reputation or whatever. Yeah.
Reputation is money. Everything is money at the end. Yes. Why you need reputation? Because of. So it's altogether connected to the false presentation of oneself in the society. That society will love you, take you as you are. Yes, you have to earn your place in the society, to be secured, to be and so on. So here is another very interesting thing from the secret knowledge. Karmendriyani samyamyaya aste manasasmaran indriyarthan vimurhatma mithyacharah sauchyate. This is the only shloka where he speaks about mithyacharas, about those who follow the yoga in vain, those who control the organs of action, that means action, activities, but continues in their mind to remember and dwell upon the object of sense, enjoy the object of sense, yes, in the mind. Such a man has bewildered himself with false notions of self-discipline. Mithyachara sauchyate. He is following in vain. Mudhatma, vimudhatma. He is bewildered and follows the discipline in vain. There is a huge number of yogins, sadhaks. I myself was in this vainity for quite some time, that you think that when you do nothing outside, then you do yoga. You go and you sit and meditate. What do you meditate upon? You think about something. You think about this, about movie, about that, what to buy at home, how to, work in your garden. This is your meditation. It is absolutely wrong. This is mithyachara. That's what we usually do. Yeah? We close our eyes and we think we are spiritual. But what we do in the mind, we just live our life. And then, yastvindriyani manasaniyam ya rabhate Arjuna, karmendriyah karma yogam asaktah savishishyati. But he who controlling the senses by the mind, O Arjuna, without attachment engages with the organs of action, in yoga of action he excels. Now, we have to take our organs of action, that means these karmendriyas, or karmendriyas are our hands, legs, speech, and procreatory and excretory organs, 5 of them, as you remember by Sankhya. And we have to engage in life. We have to live. But we have to live in a karma yogic way. That means freedom from the fruit of action, first freedom. The second freedom will be from the modality of action, which I have to mention now. So first is psychological freedom from check, from this way of finishing things. The second freedom is freedom from the chosen modality of action. So I will do this. I love this work. I love playing music. I don't care what the results. So I'm already free from the fruit, but I love to play music. But I love to play music my way. This is my way. So this my way becomes a chosen modality or egoistic modality in which I want to enjoy the action. But this is another attachment which we have to get rid of. There should be a freedom from my way. There should be freedom to choose any way and discover oneself. Oh, I didn't do this way ever. I never cooked this way. I don't know this thing. I will try it out. I don't like to do this way, but I will do it because I want to see how it will, what I will learn from it. Yeah. So being free from the chosen modality is the second freedom. And the last freedom will be the freedom from actor. Here it is. Prakritih kriyamanani gunaih karmani sarvashah ahankara vimurhatma kartaham iti manyate tattvavitu mahabaho gunakarma vibhagayoho gunagumeshu vartante iti matva nasajjate. While the actions are being entirely done by the modes of nature, so to say, by the gunas, yes, these very gunas, he whose self is bewildered by egoism, by ahankara vimurhatma, thinks that it is his, I, which is doing them. Kartaham, I am the doer. Iti manyate, thus he thinks. He thinks this is what all of us are bewildered. This is the most difficult thing to get rid of, to be free from, and it is the third level. So the first is fruit of action. Second is modality, the choice by which I have to do the work. And the third is the very idea of the actor, that I am the doer. I do things, yes. I am free from action. I'm free from the fruit of action. I am free from the modality. I do the action. This is the last kind of anchor to the nature. Nature is still buying our Purusha, holding it, yeah? Not allowing it to be free. But the moment you free that last connection, then you become really free. But one, Almighty One, who knows the true
sorry.
principles of divisions of the modes and works, realizes it is the modes which are acting and reacting on each other and is not caught in them by attachment. These are Sri Aurobindo's translations. Guna guneshu vartante. Gunas are rotating in gunas, thus thinking he is not attached to the action. So he sees how gunas are rotating in gunas. He says, oh, now there was an active stage of nature. Now it is tamasic. Then now it is sattvic. The stages are constantly mixing and changing. So he views them in the most abstract way, how nature is acting through you, and you are part of that activity. Your body, your mind, your vital is constantly managed by the gunas of nature. You are inclined, you're hungry now, you go to eat. You are now sleepy, you go to sleep. But it's not you who is hungry, it's not you who is sleepy. It is nature who is making you hungry and sleepy and so on. So once you see that, then you become free while acting. And this is the most difficult, of course, and the highest level of freedom. Yeah, this is the secret knowledge of Karma Yoga. So 3 stages we have to remember. Yes, Siegfried, you wanted to say something.
I want to ask you, this actor is Ahamkara?
Ahankara vimudhatma. He is bewildered by Ahankara. Ahankara is actually the ego sense, which is needed for the action. But to be bewildered by it is something else. Ahankara is needed. It will be there even when you will be free. It is a part of nature and her action.
Then the actor is referring to the egoism, isn't it?
There is no actor. Purusha is only a witness. Actor is nature. Nature is acting. This is the way to liberate oneself while acting. So that's his secret knowledge. So if one wants to be active and liberate oneself, one has to arrive at this psychological freedom. See how nature arranges everything, with you included. All the stages within your own movement and action and modalities and so on and so forth. And then you find the unborn self in you, which is constantly witnessing it, looking at it, smiling at it. Whatever nature proposes, whatever nature does to you, she will be doing something to you. Yeah? But you are not the doer. This is the freedom through Karma Yoga. Once you become free from this, then there will be other stages coming on the way. So it is not the final liberation or the final achievement in the Purna Yoga. It is the first great achievement, where you jump from karma yoga to jnana yoga. You realize oneself. You find your unborn self. But there is more. There will be bhakti. There is more. There will be Hanumanta. There will be Sakshi, Hanumanta, and Ishvara finally. Yeah? And by the way, Krishna speaks of these stages. He will say that Upadrashta, then there will be, that is Sakshi, then there will be Hanumanta, then Bharta, the supporter of nature, and finally the Bhokta, the enjoyer of everything what nature does. But these are the stages which will come later after this liberation is achieved. Without this liberation, those stages are useless to talk about. So one can be active and perceptive and find oneself through action as the means of self-liberation. One can, if one wants to, of course. It's a technology of consciousness. It's not something religious. Notice, there is no religion, there's no worship, there's no mantras, nothing. This is a psychological attitude. It's pure psychology. All right. I left you speechless, I guess.
Yeah, you have actually. It's a wonderful session. Really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Gita is great.
I've never, yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you, Vladimir.
All right.
Thank you,
So shall
Vladimir.
we... Yes, Nilima.
He said, yes, it is. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Lovely. I'm glad that it is meaningful
Hey.
to all of us.
Until tomorrow, everyone. Yeah, we're ending on time today, which is good. Okay.
Could we ask Vladimir just to do a little closing with his beautiful mantra?
Yes, I think that's a very good idea, Suzanne.
thank
Yeah, thank you. Yes, please.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Vladimir. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.